Who's the biggest threat to the Niners in the NFC?
I mean, when you look at the NFC, you got to go the Detroit Lions. They've gotten better. They gave the Niners a run for their money last year. They probably should have won that game if we're being 100% honest.
It was
I'm
that
probably
close.
going to go Lions. But, like, when you look at it, the NFC is kind of wide open still. Like, there's no elite quarterback in the NFC, if we're being honest. There's no team that is dominant. You can say the Niners are dominant. That's fine. Like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, we dominate the NFC. I mean, we do, but we also don't in a way because we let teams hang around in the playoffs. So
Yep.
I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Like, I would probably say Detroit though.
You mentioned that Detroit should have won that game. I mean, if they had converted one of those fourth downs, it might have been a different story. And one of the fourth downs was just a drop from Josh Reynolds. So, yeah, I guess have a better wide receiver than Josh Reynolds, but it seemed like they kind of beat themselves a little bit in that game.
I would, if it wasn't Detroit, I'd probably say I want to say the Eagles got a lot better, and that's like a semi wannabe rivalry that the Niners created on their own. But I think the Rams are a lot better than people are going to give them credit for. They have their offensive line is really dang good. I know they just lost Aaron Donald, but that's what a team wants, people to count them out with an elite quarterback. I mean, I guess he would be the closest to being elite in the NFC.
Yeah, I would agree.
Good weapons. So I think those are the only two teams. I think the only two to three teams that give the Niners an actual run for their money and the biggest threat.
I feel like people are writing off the Rams because Aaron Donald retired, but I don't think he was super impactful the last couple of years. I mean, I still think they're a contender. Also, Green Bay, because they're the team that has the quarterback who might improve the most this offseason.
I would say that as well, but I think Green Bay, the only issue is their coach. Like their coach he gets too scared for the moment against the Niners. And like once you have
a kind of reminds me of. You know, he kind of reminds me of LaFleur, kind of getting a little scared in the moment, kind of shrinking in the big moments.
Oh, was a guy that his dad coached in the NFL. His dad's last name was
I forget his name, but I think you know who I'm talking about.
I think I know you're talking about.
They're like friends too. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
It's wild.
Kind of weird how that happens.
So yeah, it's kind of funny how two of the best teams in the NFC. The biggest questions about them is their coach, but I think the Packers are young. They just added Josh Jacobs. That's an upgrade over Aaron Jones, isn't it? Aaron Jones is good.
Aaron Jones is really good. He gets. I don't know why they got rid of him. They should have made sure they kept him. That would have been a great. I honestly thought they were going to be the biggest threat because of the Aaron Jones and Josh Jacobs factor. But the fact they got rid of Aaron Jones and kept just, I don't know, it doesn't make sense for me. But again, if they're going to be very pass heavy, I don't think they have a good enough offensive line.
And like, what about Atlanta? A lot of people that's like the trendy pick, Atlanta. I don't see it just because they got Raheem Morris and Kirk Cousins. Like, I don't know about that.
I mean, Kirk's gonna have to wear a couple more chains in order to beat the Niners, but I don't know about that one. But when you look, honestly, like Atlanta has a good foundation. Like they do. They have good weapons, a good running back, a good quarterback now. Their offensive line is really good. But defensively is where they're going to struggle. So Raheem Morris is going to have to be the best he possibly can to try to compete with some of these good offenses.
You didn't mention Dallas.
I don't. We're like, come on, like Dallas is no. What's funny about Dallas is like
they should trade Dak.
They should have, but they can't. They should do what's right and eat the cap space and get rid of Dak Prescott. Send him to a team that needs a quarterback. Because to be honest, he's not the answer.
He's not, and they know it. Let Trey Lance play. He might be your Jordan Love.
Hey, I mean, especially when you have a quarterback that's getting to train with Jeff Christensen for the last couple of years, working around Mahomes. Like, hey, he may be something if someone actually gives him an opportunity.
Well, that'd be interesting. I'm trying to think of other teams in the NFC that could have been overlooked, or like a complete dark horse, a team that really very few people would take seriously that you think could make some noise and maybe make the playoffs. Arizona.
No.
No. Hard to say Minnesota. You don't even know who their quarterback is. Chicago?
Chicago could, but I don't see them doing that just because it's going to be a
Could they be like the Texans from last year?
They don't have the coaching staff.
Yeah,
they don't have the coaching staff.
Suck. That's their problem.
Yeah, I think the only three teams I see that are legit in the NFC is Detroit, the Rams, and the Niners. I think the Saints could get better. Derek Carr normally gets better in his second year in the system, but it's Derek Carr. He struggled last year. He struggled the last couple of years. So I don't know how that's going to work over there. So that's interesting.